Welcome to the Political Matrix News. Politics, people, local, regional, national news. Political Matrix News keeps you informed. We have the sources, we have the truth from inside the Political Matrix.
Welcome back. This is Greg Fink here with the Political Matrix News, and we got Scott Miller here, and we're going to be talking now about the, we talk about him a lot, Matt Gaetz. He's a congressman here in Northwest Florida, and he has drawn an opponent. He's a Republican and supposedly going to be very well funded. And so we're going to see what happens in this race. I mean, it's going to be a very interesting race. I mean, in all reality, it's very late in the race. It's late in the stage. I mean, I get the strategy. You want to get in at the last minute, make sure nobody else gets in there to muddy up the waters. But, you know, this is pretty much last minute. And it's a big district, and without having any name ID in the district, you know, we're going to see what happens. I mean, it's going to be a very tough race. And so basically, it's going to come down to money because nobody's willing to match Matt dollar for dollar anywhere near and come close to him.
Well, he hasn't. No one's been able to get the dollars because I can't count the number of stories of people who are the normal donor class around here that told me that if you give money to any of Matt's opponents, don't expect any help from Matt for any of the projects that you want to get done. It basically is like the Huey P. Long of Florida politics. You know, Huey P. Long was it Huey Long or Edwin Edwards? One of them had a saying where they'd say that it was Huey Long, and he said, if you support me early, then you can count on having great access. If you support me after the primary, you can count on some good access. And if you don't support me in the general election, you can count on 4 years of good government.
Exactly. Now we have Gaetz Dimmock here running, and he's not from the area. He's from, I guess, Missouri area. And he's, he has the same treasurer as Kevin McCarthy, who definitely has a good reason to be very angry with Matt Gaetz. And Kevin has resources to be very angry with Matt Gaetz to get rid of him. But we're just going to have to see, I mean, how much is going to, how the campaign is going to work. We have not spoken with Aaron yet. I don't think a lot of people in the community has, and that is part of the problem. Matt has been all over the community. He's actually already made his first media buy for TV for $45,000 a couple of weeks ago, which is one of his earliest media buys he has done in a very long time, because I think he knew that something was coming around the corner. He just did not know what or how well funded it was going to be. And so, I mean, right now there's a lot of groups. In full disclosure, I have a 527 here that is actually out there trying to raise money to get rid of Matt Gaetz as well. But, we just point him off the political scene, period, making sure that he either leaves for Congress or does not run for anything at all. Because right now, the whole idea is that he's going to be there for one more term. He's pretty much told about everybody without telling anybody is going to be running for governor here next. And so, although he says he's not, and he keeps lying to people, but that's what Matt does. He's a pretty good liar. And he's, he told everybody he's not running again, but, he probably is going to run for governor. And so I think the whole idea is just to get him off the political scene, off the stage, totally.
I can't count also the number of people that have told me that he's told them privately that he's running. 1,000%.
Right.
This is what he's doing.
He's not. Yeah. And publicly, he's not.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, you just have no idea with this guy. I mean, he's a very interesting Republican. We had a very interesting 8 years or so far with him as the representative. We haven't gotten anything done. We've lost military bases, our squadrons. We've lost personnel. Our quality of life has dropped considerably. Our pollution rates have risen considerably. Our wages have dropped. Our standard of living has dropped. Our crime has increased. I mean, there's nothing really that he's really done to prove that he would be a great governor. I mean, I have no idea. And when you talk about executive leadership, I mean, I know him and his sister have 20 or 30 different shell companies all around the state of Florida. And that would be very interesting for people to look into about what all he's doing with those companies.
According to Sunbiz.
According to Sunbiz.org, yes, exactly. And so it's not just according to Greg Fink. It's according to Sunbiz and the record-keeping people in Tallahassee. And so it'll be interesting to see what kind of executive experience he has there, because as far as we know, actually, he talked about getting some PVM money from some of them, but None of them are staffed, and none of them have buildings. So that's a very
We're not aware of any
interesting.
staffing or buildings or
Exactly.
physical
We're not aware of
locations.
any because
But if, hey,
yeah, I mean,
if you know of something, let us know in the comments. We
yeah,
would love to be wrong about this because I mean
we
it's our
would love to
opinion.
find the corporation. Yeah, please let us know where his employees are,
Yeah,
or where
if
his
you know,
companies are. I mean, let us know where his executive leadership is. I
yeah.
mean, what has he been in charge of executive wise to run a state? I mean, seriously. I mean, we already have DeSantis here, who was just a JAG lawyer and a congressman running a state, and there's always arguments on how well that's being done. But I mean, Gaetz is just another example of that, and more. And in my opinion, Gaetz is a much more hedonistic, morally corrupt, morally bankrupt person compared to DeSantis. Because I mean, we have the investigations going on with the underage girls. In fact, the ethics committee came out today, or actually, sorry, 10 days ago, with verification of the underage girl, and I guess they got text messages and videos and everything else of him at the party with drugs, MDA, which is a date rape drug, and ecstasy and other hard drugs. And he's a congressman, an officer of the court, a lawyer at these parties with underage individuals. In 2017, that's just wrong. Period. Now, it should be easy for this guy here to beat Matt Gaetz. And after all this being said, it should be really easy for anybody to beat Matt Gaetz. But people in Northwest Florida just do not somehow believe it, or they just love, or they fear his father too much to go against him because they don't want the father to bring down his wrath upon them. I have no idea what wrath it will be. But,
Well,
that being
well,
said, I mean, Aaron Dimmock has a lot of work to do and very little time to do it. But there's some really good issues he could talk about that are real.
well. But think about when he hasn't had a real substantial opponent since he
No,
went to Congress. And if you think about the election that brought him in there, his father, at the
exactly.
time he was running, his
Manipulated.
father was very influential in several key committees in Florida. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure he was on the ethics committee, the
Yes,
Florida's
and
Commission
he's
on Ethics.
the president of the Senate as well.
Well, not when he was running, not when Matt was running for Congress.
He was.
No. Don was
Huh?
already out by that time. But the thing is
Oh
that he was also on. I believe he was still on the Triumph board, and with all these counties and community leaders in the entire district, covering the entire district and more. Just chomping at the bit to get shares of that $1 billion account. You
yeah. Right.
know, you know, and
That'd be nice for my son.
I don't know that he ever told anyone directly that that going against Matt would keep them out of Triumph Gulf Coast money, which is what that BP money is called. But I think that they inferred it, whether or not he actually ever told them that, and so that
Right.
sucked up a ton. When one of the when Greg Evers was running against him for that in that race, Greg Evers had been in Tallahassee for longer than Matt had. He'd never lost a race. He'd never won by less than a 30-point margin.
Right.
And all of a sudden, Matt's the only one. This little kid who'd only accomplished anything in Tallahassee because his dad was the Senate president and could help him wrangle votes.
Yeah. But in
So,
reality, I mean, he didn't get more than 34% of the vote, and I guess Greg got 28. There's 9 people running, so that should give you an idea. There were not that many votes that separated them at all.
well,
And people,
the problem that Greg had was that he couldn't get any funding at all. People who had
no,
traditionally just almost written in blank checks were like,
I
I
think
don't
Greg had
know.
like $300,000-400,000, and I think Matt had 2.5 million.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so, and there were, I think, less than maybe just more than 1,000 votes separating them. And so
I
there
still,
were, I mean,
yeah, I still laugh at all the Gaetz signs that didn't say what he was running for and didn't say his first name. They just said Gaetz. Well, they might have said Congress. I don't remember, but
they
they
did, yeah,
just said Gaetz, and I know a significant number of people that thought that Don was the guy that
right,
they were going to be voting for.
yeah, and that seems to be an issue here. And I mean, we have that issue with the Calkins family. We got Maria Calkins who ran for state rep, and her husband, who's a county commissioner, has the identical signs. It doesn't say anything what they're running for. Just say the name Calkins and a fish on the sign. It doesn't say anything about, and I mean the legality of that's totally illegal, but the enforcement of it is totally irrelevant. And so I mean it's just not enforced. I mean totally at all. So I mean it's gonna be. I mean this race here is gonna be interesting summary here for Northwest Florida. Without that being the only big race, it's going to be interesting to see how much money Aaron can get funded into the campaign, and how much is going to, because it's going to take every single dollar. I mean, he's going to have to put more in than Matt did, and so Matt's going to have around $5 or $6 million, and he's going to have to top that.
Well, I don't think he's going to have any trouble getting that. The number that I heard he had available was $20 million right now, and that's before they have the first media buy. But the problem is, so what? All the money in the world. Money is not his problem. Time is his enemy.
Exactly.
I mean, Matt's making a big deal about. Matt's making a big deal right now already about his. About comments that he made 4 years ago in an employment firm that he made. And, it would bother me too, but it's not something that's unexplainable. But it takes time to explain that, and he doesn't have the time. He doesn't have time.
Right.
So, I don't know.
It's going to be a tough race. I mean, it's going
to be a tough race.
I do know you can buy time. And I mean, a lot of the reasons why a lot of people are talking about the strategies against Matt Gaetz didn't work in the past. I mean, there was people who put mailers out about his DUIs and everything. The reality is that whenever you're doing it at $20,000 at a time, is nothing compared to doing it at $1 million at a time. The saturation level is severely different. And we can saturate the media very well with Matt's background, very thoroughly, properly. Then you can make I think a bigger sting than you could with all the piecemeal saturation that was done during the Joseph campaign and the Evers campaign and the Bilak campaign and any other campaign that was out there running against Matt. I mean, nobody had the funding to really put it out there at full saturation mode. And so, I mean, if you could, it would make a bigger difference. So I don't think the strategy is a bad idea. It's the lack of funding is what hurt. And Matt outfunded everybody like 100 to 1.
Yeah, he did. But the thing is, I mean, all the money in the world, you got to have the ability to create the content to make that statement. And I mean, I'll confess that I have not heard this man utter a single word. I don't know what his presence is like. I don't know the things that the topics that he talks about. So it's not impossible that he's just a charismatic, compelling person. But with the online stuff that I've seen of him, I don't really get that impression. But at the same time, he wasn't trying to put forward a compelling media campaign. So I don't know. I mean, maybe, but we'll have to see. We'll find out.
Matt, for one thing, Matt is very sharp. He's very slick. He's very good at making his point. He's also very good at being the victim. He likes to be the victim. Everybody's picking on me.
Oh, why is everybody picking on me? Charlie Brown, he's a clown.
Exactly. Well, that's right. We're going to wrap it up here real quick for this segment here of the Political Metrics podcast, and we'll be right back.